All right. And I believe that, well, I remember Gabriel and Catalina from the event, the Hola networking event. Unfortunately, I was very busy there and I couldn't really catch up with everybody. So, yeah, so I decided to today just do a little bit of a quick webinar so I can answer some questions. And I know that the process of validation can be a little bit daunting and can be a little bit confusing. So if you have any particular question, you can fire the question and I'm happy to answer. So what sort of engineering are you guys? Gabriel, what sort of engineer? Are you civil, mechanical, industrial?
Industrial engineering.
Industrial engineering? Engineer? Oh, good.
But I didn't graduate yet.
You haven't graduated yet?
Not yet.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, but it's good to to understand what's needed for validation, because you can actually start your validation as soon as you graduate. So if you prepare yourself during graduation, once you graduate, the process to validate becomes very easier. Yeah. Etienne, Etienne, what sort of engineer are you? Maybe you can type. Oh, I'll ask in the chat. Catalina is a civil engineer. Etienne, civil engineer. Catalina. Gabriel is industrial. Catalina is from Colombia. It's good to see different people. All right. Well, if you don't have any particular question, I've got some questions that usually they ask me. Yes, Gabriel. Yeah, fire away.
Yeah, one. I have a doubt about the skills assessment.
Yeah.
Because many engineers after graduating end up like doing different kinds of jobs that are not specifically a engineering role. So what I wanted to clarify is if when you are going through those competencies that you have to fill in your skills assessment, do you have to work in an engineering role, or can I work in different roles and still develop those competencies?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Gabriel. You actually, because engineers in Australia, they don't require you work experience. It doesn't really matter if you work in a different role or not. Certainly, if you work in an engineering job and you get some experience, certainly that will help. But as I've mentioned before, you can start your validation process, or you can apply for validation even after you graduate. So you can use your experience, your academic experience at university. But let's assume that you graduated and then you work, let's say, a few months or a year in a different role, which is not kind of engineering related. And what you have to do then, probably, or what you can or can't do, you probably won't be able to use that particular experience in your career episodes, because your career episodes needs to be engineering related. But you're saying that some people work as analysts, and I'm assuming that is kind of an industrial analyst or production analyst. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Uh, so just excuse my ignorance, but a production a production analyst, what would that be different from a from a industrial engineer? So what would an analyst do that is different from an engineer would do?
So do you think that this would count as a experience too, as a career episode?
So is the analyst some sort of an assistant to the industrial engineer?
Uh, I'm not sure, but some companies hire as analysts because they can afford or they don't want to pay the engineering salary.
All right.
So
Well,
engineers,
in this case, if you're working as an analyst, but what you do actually is engineering job,
uh-huh.
what you need to do is to, when you have your reference letter, because if you're using your career experience, your work experience as a career episode, you will need a reference letter. So just make sure that when you draft that letter, because you have to put your main 5 functions or even more functions that you did, just make sure that the functions that you put in the letter, they kind of align with what you did. The title itself is not very important. What is important is what you actually did. So let's say that your title is production analyst or industrial analyst, but the roles that you did is engineering sort of a job. So that's what matters, because then the Engineers Australia will compare your graduation subjects and with what you actually did, and then they'll make the assessment. So your career episode can actually have a lot of the engineering jobs that you did. So if you do a lot of engineering job as analyst, it's not a problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Hi, William. How are you? I noticed that you just joined us.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fine. Fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
good. So, are you also from Brazil?
Yeah, also from Brazil, live in Sydney
Sydney?
for the last 2 months. Yeah, just landed here 2 months ago with my family.
All right. Okay, good. And what sort of engineer are you?
I'm a fluid power engineer. Yeah.
Engineer.
Fluid power engineer, fluid power hydraulics.
Ah, all
Fluid
right.
power engineer.
Fluid powering engineering.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Good.
it.
So, do you work with what with or do you used to work with pumps or hydroelectrics or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You held a webinar with some guys talking about fluid power engineer, like I think it was some months ago.
Ah, yes, from Mackay.
Yeah, it's the same market. Yeah, I leave the
Ah, all
company.
right.
I usually work. I work for the same company for the last 5 years in Brazil. I just leave this company to start to work for another company here in Sydney.
Yeah.
I become yeah.
All right. So hydraulic engineer, like so you're with a lot of mechanical engineers and mechanic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
All right. And do you have any particular question? Or?
Yes, I have because I'm currently writing my career episode because I come with a sponsor visa.
Yep.
Basically, I need to wait for 3 years to apply the PR, but I have to. I'm a father of 2 children, and I don't want to stay paying for schools for the next 3 years.
Yep.
And I intend to apply for the PR by myself.
So
But
you're planning to apply under the skilled independent?
yeah, that's it. Before that I need to validate my diploma.
Yes.
But my question is, if there is a problem if I use a care episode, all of them from Brazil, because I'm very new here. I'm starting to work some projects yet, but at this moment I just write an episode about Brazil. What do you think? There's some issue like how they will see that the guy is working in Australia, but they are using episodes from Brazil.
All
Are you
right.
thinking about it?
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a very good question, William. William's just asking, for those that can't hear him, William's just asking that he's a fluid powering engineer working with hydraulics, and he lives in Sydney. He is under a sponsorship, and he needs to be with the company for 3 years. Is that correct, William? But he wants,
That's it.
yeah, but he wants to apply for independent skilled for a permanent residency visa. So he's working on his career episodes, and his question is that because he hasn't got experience here in Australia, can he use just his Brazilian experience in the career episodes? And the answer is yes. Drum roll. Yes, you can, William. Because actually in Engineers Australia, you actually don't need work experience. You can validate your qualification just with your academic experience. Of course, if you were active in your academic experience, if you did a lot of internship, or in Portuguese, estágios, if you worked in study groups, your final assessment or assignment for your degree, you can use that as well. In Portuguese, we call TCC. So, William, if you have work experience in Brazil, you can use those work experiences in your career episodes, especially because in Engineers Australia, this is about validating an overseas qualification in Australia. So Engineers Australia actually doesn't mind, of course, you using overseas experience, because you're trying to validate your qualification here in Australia. It's assumed that you don't really have experience in Australia. In fact, a lot of engineers, they apply for validation when they are in their home countries. So I've got a lot of friends that they've applied for validation when they were in Brazil. Obviously, they were never here. So they use their whole experience, their whole career episodes, using Brazilian experience. So it's certainly not a problem.
Okay, Gerson, thank you so much.
Yeah.
The most challenge is tell the story. Like, we need to spend and build a big history more than talking about the project. I think it's more challenging.
Yeah, writing the career episodes, it's not something that's very easy, especially because we are engineers, and we're not very good at writing. Well, myself, I certainly not very good at writing. So yes, writing the career episodes, as William, I don't believe you were in that Hola Network event last week, where I talk about career episodes and the summary statement as well. And another question that's very common is, how do we write the summary statement? Because as you all know, we got 16 competencies that we need to demonstrate in our career episodes. And the last bit of the CDR is the summary statement, where we have to demonstrate for every competency where in the career episodes we can demonstrate those competencies, so those paragraph numbers and everything. So yes, certainly it's a challenge.
Yeah, that's it.
So how many career episodes did you write already, William?
Just one, but I finished one. Yeah, that's it.
All right, okay. And you've prepared your CPD already and thinking about summary statement?
Yeah, this CPD, I'm not worried about it, but the summary statement, I'm understanding yet about how to compose that, and I'm learning about it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Good. Welcome, Stephanie. Yeah, glad that you managed to join us. Well, I'll go one slide that I went very quickly. And thank you very much, guys. You helping me with my social media. As I mentioned before, it's very important for me to get some support from you guys, because social media, they've got some sort of algorithm, which is like a computer program that the more interaction you have, the more they distribute the content. So even though a lot of people like my Facebook page, every time that I post something, it doesn't really mean that it goes to everybody. So the more engagement and interaction I've got in my social media, the more those platforms like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, they distribute my content to the people that are expecting to receive. I mentioned in that presentation that there are 5 pathways to validate your engineering qualification in Australia. Well, one is the Australian qualification, of course. If you graduated here, you don't really have a lot of problem. You can recognize and apply for membership in our Engineers Australia straight away. For those ones that are under the Washington Accord, Washington Accord is for professional engineers. There are more than 20 countries that are signatories to the Washington Accord. And if you are part of that country, and if you graduated in a year, on the year that they signed the accord or after, you can actually apply straight away. Sydney Accord is for technologists, and Dublin Accord is for technicians. But majority of us, we would go under the CDR pathway, which is the competency demonstration report. Yeah, certainly us Brazilians. Stephanie, I think are you from Colombia? Unfortunately, then we gotta do CDR. And the pathways or the stages of CDR, very quickly. Well, the personal information here, I forgot to ask you guys, can you see my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
I can.
Oh, good. Yeah. Thank you very much. So the first step is your personal information. So that's apart from the English test. The rest is pretty much straightforward, your passport, your identification, your photos, your CV and resume, and your English test. Certainly English test is a challenge. And remembering that now Engineers Australia is asking you, if you're not considered a native English speaker, you gotta provide a test, either IELTS, TOEFL, or PTE. And there are minimum scores. When I did it was just IELTS, and I had a minimum score. I had to reach a minimum score of 6 in each band, which means listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Have you guys already done the English test, or still in the pathway to do the English test?
I did, Joe, because for the kind of visa that I got, like
Your sponsorship, yeah.
Yeah, I also need 5, but it was not 6. But I studied for the 1 month, and my overall score was 5.5, and it's very challenging to reach 6. It's not easy, really not easy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, certainly with a little bit of a persistence, you will get it. Catalina is saying that she's in the pathway. She didn't get the score yet. Stephanie haven't done the English test. So what I talk with my students, you guys probably know I've got an online course where I teach engineers to prepare their CDR. And a lot of the students, they also don't have the English score yet. And what they're saying to me is that it's certainly interesting to do the course and prepare your CDR, because during your research you gotta read a lot and do a lot of research, how to write things in English, etc. And it's actually helping them to probably get a higher score when they do the English test. Because if you take, let's say, 2, 3, 4 months, or even like myself, I took 6 to 8 months to write my career episodes and everything. It's 6 months of researching and studying and reading that will certainly help you guys to achieve your minimum score. I was very fortunate that when I was a child and teenager, I studied a lot English in English schools. So when I did my test, even though I prepared myself for like 3 or 4 months before I undertook the test, I got really good scores in my first sitting. So I was very fortunate that I could study English when I was in Brazil, and I went to Japan and I did my postgraduate study in Japan and was pretty much in English and Japanese. So I was fortunate to do that. But one hint about English tests. English test is probably 40% for you to understand how to do the English test. If you are 100% academic literate, but if you don't know how to do the test, you have chances of not succeeding, because the English test, they've got a lot of tricks, and you got to understand those tricks, the methodology to do the test, because it's all time bound. You have a specific time to do each part, and if you don't really advance very quickly, uh, you won't have time to do everything, even though you may know the answer, but you just won't have time to do it. So the second part of the CDR stages is your application. There are 3 categories, occupational categories that you can apply for: professional engineer, engineering technologist, engineering associate. I believe that most of you are going to apply for the professional engineer occupational category. There was one person yesterday asking me about electrical engineering draftsperson category. That one falls within the engineering associate, which is like a technician. So you gotta have at least 2 years of engineering studies and or an associate degree for engineering associate. Engineering technologies usually is in Australia, it's what it's called BTech, Bachelor in Technology, which is a 3-year degree. And professional engineer obviously is a full bachelor degree, which is equivalent to a 4-year in Australia. And then you prepare your academic certificates, your bachelor degree, your master's degree, or PhD, or postgraduate studies. You're gonna have your academic transcripts as well, and any other relevant academic documentation. And remember that if they're not in English, you gotta translate those documents in English using a certified translator. Then skilled employment. Evidence of employment is needed if you use some sort of a work experience in your career episodes, or if you're claiming 12 months or more in an engineering job, you gotta have your evidence of employment. Or if you are also applying for the relevant skilled employment assessment, so you get more points in your visa application, you also gotta have your reference letter. And then that's the sticky bit part, is the report. You gotta have your prepare your CPD, your continuing professional development, your career episodes, and your summary statement. 3 career episodes, and obviously your summary statement. And then once you prepare everything, it's just a matter of uploading all your documentation and submit your competency demonstration report electronically via my portal. All right, I'm just going to have a look here. Stephanie, what sort of engineer are you? Sorry, I think I spoke with you that night, but I think I didn't ask you what sort of engineer. All right, you chemical engineer. Well done. And let's see, do you guys have any other particular question? I can certainly answer more questions as we go. Catalina is asking, sorry, William, just Catalina is asking one question here. Yeah, she's asking a very good questions. How can we do our career episodes? Do you have some tips? Yeah, thanks for the question, Catalina. Yeah, writing the career episodes is very tricky. I actually was this week, I don't know if you know, guys, but every Tuesday morning, I'm doing a Facebook live session when I choose a topic, and then I talk about this topic. And for this particular session last Tuesday, I actually spoke about how do we choose the career episodes and how do we write them. And there are some few things, you know, the career episodes, you gotta demonstrate engineering competencies. And so every time that you choose an experience, either academic or work experience to write in your career episodes, it's gotta be a complex engineering problem or a complex project. And why do I say complex? Because if we have a lot of engineering problems or problems when we are delivering some sort of engineering work, but those problems, they can be simple, they can be medium, and they can be complex. If you talk about simple problems while you're doing an engineering job, the risk is that that particular problem could be solved by a technician or could be solved as a technologist. And if you describe in your career episodes simple problems or medium problems that can be solved by a technician or a technologist, you will probably going to struggle to demonstrate your engineering competency. So every time that you choose a career episode, you've got to think about an engineering problem. So you can demonstrate your engineering capacities, your engineering knowledge, your engineering judgment, and your engineering competencies. Catalina is also asking, and can we demonstrate 5 to 6 skills in each episode? Because it's difficult to demonstrate the 16 in the same episode. And I agree with you, Catalina. It's very difficult to demonstrate all the 16 episodes in the same career episode. And that's why Engineers Australia, they're asking 3 career episodes, because you can then differentiate different periods of your engineering life, either academic or work, and then you can mix different experiences for those competencies. But my advice certainly is to try to include as many competencies as you can in each career episode. William, I think you're going to ask something.
Yeah, my question is about the letter, because I intend to use the letter for the company that I work in Brazil. But in this letter, was the last letter that I got was there is some sentence that I'm going to work for that company in the moment that the letter was written. And
All right.
but nowadays I leave this company and I work for another company here in Australia. I just would like to know if I use this letter with this information, like William is current working for this company, and then is this sentence is already
that sentence is William's question for those that can't hear him. He said that he's worked for a company in Brazil and he's got a reference letter, but the letter is saying that William is going to work with some functions there, and now he's working in an Australian company. So his question is if he uses that letter from Brazil, from that company in Brazil, if that particular sentence that William is going to work with this, if that is going to compromise his, that particular document. And I'm afraid to say, William, that yes, it will probably will. It's not guaranteed, depends on the assessment of the assessor. But we got to remember that we are proving or demonstrating to Engineers Australia that we are competent. And competency means something that you did, something that you are going to do, unfortunately, does not demonstrate competency. It can probably demonstrate that you've got capacity to do that or capability to do that, but it does not demonstrate competency. So in this case, what I suggest you to do is write a draft letter yourself with the things that you did, the things that you have done, and write in two versions, English and Portuguese, and send them an email asking, thank you very much for that letter, but I need a letter to demonstrate the things that I did. So this is a draft of the letter in English and in Portuguese. If you can put in your letterhead and ask your supervisor or your former supervisor or somebody from HR to sign the letter. That letter then demonstrates what you actually did. That's unfortunate, William.
I'm not sure if they will sign a new letter for me because I leave this company to work for a competitor in Australia, right. And then maybe I need to get a new letter for this company here in Australia, or I don't know.
Yeah, how long did you work? Have you worked for that company?
5 years, the last 5 years.
5 years, yeah, certainly. Yeah, certainly it's a letter that you probably would like to have. But there's no harm to ask, William. If you don't ask,
that's it.
The answer is going to be no, because you haven't asked. So you won't really get a letter. If you ask the question, the worst that you can get is they say, sorry, but we're not giving you this letter.
That's it.
But you run a 50% chance for them to say, all right, William, you've worked for 5 or 6 years. You contributed to our company in that time. Nowadays, companies, they're becoming a little bit more mature in terms of losing employees to other companies. It is something that I would consider doing. If they say no, well, it's no. But they can say, we understand your position and we're happy to sign. You're not lying. You're not inventing anything. You're not making up anything.
Yeah. Okay, Gerson. Thank you.
That's right, William. Yeah. Any other particular question before I continue there? Certainly. Just going on Catalina's question about career episodes. It is a challenge because you have to demonstrate the the 16 competencies in the career episode. And that's one of the most common questions of my students, because they have questions. And that was my question as well when I started to write my career episodes, yeah, more than 10 years ago, because I didn't know how to write it. I was writing career episodes, and then when I was doing the summary statement, as Catalina put in her question, I couldn't really find enough competencies. And I realized that I've chosen wrong career episodes because they were not complex enough. They were not broad enough to get all the competencies. And the other question is, how do you actually make sure that you are writing enough to match the competencies? So that's one of the most common questions. And it is difficult because when you read those 16 competencies, I'll read out one and I'll do an online test with you guys. So pay attention. I'll choose a very easy one and I'll write down as well. So those that can't hear, they can see. So the competency is ethical conduct and professional accountability. So do we have a volunteer of an experience, either academic or work experience, that you believe will address this particular competency? Is PE 3.1, ethical conduct and professional accountability?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet? Yeah, it's not easy. So because, and obviously when you go to the particular competency, it gives you a few more examples. There are A, B, C, D. So another 4 kind of statements that that you can use. But, and Catalina is asking, sorry, she's saying here, not yet. I don't know how to link it with my experience. So this is a very common situation, Catalina and William. Don't be scared. It's absolutely normal. You read those competencies and you think to yourself, oh, what am I going to write in this career episode to demonstrate those competencies? Really, really difficult because we are not trained. As an engineer, we're not trained to write stuff. Our reports, they pretty much boring. They have numbers, they have figures, they have graphs, they have some analysis, they have calculations, but this is very subjective. So certainly it's a challenge. But just one example of ethical conduct and professional accountability, one example that I have in my career, for example, in Brazil, I used to tender for a lot of works. And if I use an example that when I was tendering for a job, I made sure that I did not have any conflict of interest with agencies or etc., etc., etc. And I disclosed, if I had one, I disclosed a perceived conflict of interest that could be used as part of evidences of that particular competency. And there are heaps more, certainly. And in my course, I give practical examples of one of the 16 competencies as well. So the students, they can have a very good understanding and they can relate to their own experiences in how to write the career episodes in a very strong way. So just continue quickly with the presentation there. CPD is fairly straightforward. It's all about your professional development. One question that usually people ask if they can use courses that they did before graduation, and unfortunately the answer is no. CPD events you can only use after you graduated. And then the career episodes, yeah, it's account of your engineering education and or work experience. So remember that we've got 3 career episodes, and each one should have between 1,500 words to 2,500 words, and they've got some structures: introduction, background, your personal contribution to the engineering activity, and a summary of the career episode as well. And this is an important topic that I always talk about and I don't get tired to talk about. It's about warning people not to be tempted to use online templates or use somebody else's career episodes, somebody else's CDR, or even to the extreme to engage companies to actually write their career episodes. Engineers Australia is very strict on plagiarism, and they've got very advanced tools, system tools to identify plagiarism. So it's like a university assignment. If you submit a university assignment that you copied from somewhere, you will probably get a fail because you just copied the assignment. And nowadays with softwares, it's very easy to identify if there is or if there isn't any written work in the web. And Engineers Australia is not different. So using online templates, somebody else's career episode, asking somebody to write your career episodes is considered plagiarism, is a violation of the Code of Ethics of Engineers Australia. And that means that Engineers Australia will reject your application and will impose a ban of 1 year or 12 months. And they will probably report your details to the Department of Home Affairs for further investigation and action. And the booklet is very clear. There is a warning there. So if you get caught copying things or using online templates or asking somebody to write your career episode, you're taking a very big risk. There's a lot of companies, yeah, unfortunately, even in Australia, that they offer you to write your career episodes and prepare your CDR, and they even tell you that they will give you a plagiarism-free certificate. And those ones that they were at the Hola Networking seminar last week, I joked that it's the same thing that you buy fake stuff and they give you a certificate of authenticity. So it's not difficult to prepare the CDR. It's not difficult to write your career episodes. Just need a little bit of structure and effort. So don't take the risk to ask somebody or use somebody's experience to write your career episode. It's not worth it. A 12-month ban is 1 year, and it can damage your application for a future visa as well. And just in this one, still, you guys probably remember I did a podcast about a colleague of us that got his application rejected because they found in the application an internet pictures. So this person used internet pictures in the CDI, in the career episodes, and internet pictures, they all have some sort of tracking number. So if you copy something from the internet, it will show up. Summary statement. Yeah, as Catalina said, it's looks like a simple document, but for each of the 16, and this is just a snapshot that I took from that's for the professional engineers category. So 16 competencies, and under each competency, you gotta write a brief summary on how you have applied and how you have achieved that competency, and then you gotta reference the paragraph numbers there. So summary statement looks like simple, but it's a very complex document to be written, and you gotta make sure that you write it very well and very solid. So the National Assessor in Engineers Australia, when they are assessing this document, they fully confident that you've addressed all the competencies. And in my course, I teach my students how to make sure that the summary statement is really solid and with no doubts for the assessor to reject a particular competency. So next steps, I'm currently, I don't know if you guys heard or not, I've got an online course. It's called the Step-by-Step to Validate Engineering Qualification. And they are 3 video classes, webinar style. I'm planning to record those classes, but I just didn't have time. Is it unique? Probably not. Does it mean it's the best? Not necessarily. It's just a process that I compile over 10 years of my knowledge. You probably, some of you know, I am part of the panel of interviewers of Engineers Australia when they trying to achieve the stage 2, when they trying to become CPEng or RPEQ. And in my 10 years of experience interviewing engineers, I learned a lot of the mistakes that I did and a lot of mistakes that engineers currently they do. So I decided to put together, and because I work full time, I can't really give consultancy. A lot of people ask me to do consultancy, but I don't really have time to do it. So people are asking me, Gerson, can you do something else to help us to prepare our CDRs? And also because consultancy is very expensive, migration agents probably going to charge you $4,000 or $5,000. So it's a lot of money. So I just compile in few video classes and examples. Really, it's about 15 hours of classes with a lot of good examples how to write your CDR. So you can write yourself. You don't need to rely on people to write your CDR and run the risk of plagiarism. I'm currently having a second group of class. They had already 2 classes, and the last class is going to be next weekend, Saturday, and then I'll be graduating this second class. I'm not quite sure when I'm planning to do the other class. These classes are mainly in Portuguese. I'm planning to do in English as well, but depends on the interest. I got to translate a lot of material. I've got nearly probably 150 slides that I need to translate to English. So if I don't have enough people interested, I'll probably won't. And I'm also planning to help a lot of engineers that are already recognized. They planning to do CPEng and RPEng. Just last week, I don't know if you guys heard. I know that some people are in Sydney, somebody in Melbourne or Victoria. But there's just a couple more questions here. Yeah, William tells me certificate of fake CDR. Yeah. Some companies, they certainly, they don't have, how can I say in English? I don't know, scrupulous or scrupulo in Portuguese, because, you know, promising that they're giving you a plagiarism-free certificate is just beyond the joke. Catalina, she's saying here, Gerson, can I choose an experience where I demonstrate all the skills, but it's not related exactly with chief engineer? I mean, I had a project where I have to review the HVAC system design and solve issues to accomplish my strategies as consultant in sustainability. But that's not exactly a task of a civil engineer. So can I use that experience in my report? I worked as a consultant in sustainability for new constructions. Yeah, that's certainly a challenge, Catalina. You can probably use some of that experience to address some of the competencies, because some competencies, they are not 100% technical. There are some competencies, they are softs, they are demonstrating your soft skills, and you perhaps you can use that particular experience as a consultant in sustainability to demonstrate some of your soft skills. William is asking, there's an estimate date to start the next class. Yeah, I'm planning to do probably beginning of October another class in Portuguese, and perhaps a class in English beginning of November. As I mentioned before, each class is about 3 to 4 hours, and I'm doing actually a live class. And I've got a wife, and I've got a daughter, and I've got a house to look after, and I just gotta make sure that I don't mix up this online course with my private life as well, because weekend is the only time that I have to spend with my family. So I'm trying to, and 3 classes, it's pretty much a whole month. So yeah, but I'm planning to do it, hopefully, see if I can find some time to do beginning of October, the next class in Portuguese. One thing that I'm considering, I don't know if I'm just going to do in English, because then I can optimize my time and have just one class that covers Brazilians and then other engineers. I don't know what you think, especially for the Brazilian ones. What do you think? Do you think would be a class in English would be okay? Some people say yes, because then they can also practice English, and because you actually got to write everything in English, it helps probably your English learning as well. I don't know. What do you think, guys? Especially William and Gabriel, you guys are Brazilians. How do you feel if you have to attend a class in English? Would that be all right? Yeah, William says that for him, that's okay. Yeah, Gabriel says, totally agree with you. English, that's good to know. I may, next class may be just in English. We'll see. I'll do a survey. Yeah, certainly, William. William says here, good opportunity to practice more and more. I agree with you, William. The more you practice, the more you learn. And as much as when we leave our country, we say, all right, I'll stick with Australians and not going to speak Portuguese, etc. But when we are here, we know that's difficult. We tend to stick with our, people from our countries. We stick with Brazilians, we stick with Colombians, and then we ended up not speaking a lot of English. So yeah, perhaps it's really a good opportunity to practice more and more. And I also have a mentorship, a VIP mentorship group. The students, they have access to a VIP group in Telegram, where I provide one-on-one, pretty much one-on-one mentorship for 30, 45, 60 days. And then, yeah, if they want to ask some questions in Portuguese, yeah, certainly. And I speak with them on the phone as well. So if you have any particular question, you can talk to me. You can send on my website, engineersonaustralia.com. There is a Fale Conosco or talk to us, contact us part in my website. You can send me a particular message or a question or suggestion. And I take even suggestions for future content, because I'm trying to record a lot of videos, at least one video a week. and I have in my Facebook Live as well. So send me suggestions for future subjects, future themes. And if you're not part of my Telegram group, please, where's that? I'll share my Telegram group here. Some already there, others not yet. But I'll share the two groups. I've got the Telegram group in English, and so that is the Telegram group in English, and also I have the Telegram group in Portuguese. Where's that? Telegram here. So this is now the link to my Telegram group in Portuguese. So if you're not part of the Telegram group, we are almost 200 people already in the Telegram group. And I'm using Telegram because WhatsApp, it's got a limitation in terms of capacity. And I reached the first group that I had in WhatsApp. I had already 256 people. That's a maximum. And I decided to go to Telegram because each group can have like 200,000 people there. So I don't believe I'll get 200,000 people in my group, but I can certainly have more than 256. And I share a lot of podcasts, videos, events, news, job opportunities. I don't know if you would like me to share more information about how to get a job in Australia as well. Uh, some people they think, oh yeah, it's probably just about validation, but I tend to share some news and some hints and tips about how to get a job, engineering job here in Australia as well. Yeah, all right. Any other particular question? I'll check here in the chat if there is any particular question there. I'm planning to. And what do you think about this Facebook Live Tuesday, 7 a.m. in the morning? Well, Brisbane time. Do you think that would be a better day and time to do it? Because, as I said, I work full time, so it's got to be either early in the morning or late in the afternoon or evening or even weekends. I don't know. I tend to ask people what suits them, because for me, dedicating 15, 20 minutes in the morning, in the evening, on the weekends doesn't matter for me. As long as I do in a date and a time that can reach more people. Yes, Stephanie says she would prefer in the evening. Catalina is asking, how can I join the group to learn how to write my essays? Yes, Catalina, I already started and I finished the first, but I don't feel confident if it is okay. Yeah, that's normal, Catalina, not to feel confident, because we are engineers and we're not good at writing. And that's what I took 6 to 8 months to finish my career episodes. I'm planning to do the next group. The next group I'm planning to do in probably October. So next weekend is going to be my last class of this second group, and I'm trying to see if I can free up some time on the weekends because I don't think I will have time to record the classes, so it will have to be a live class like we're having here today. That's the style of classes. I have my PowerPoint presentation, and then I've got people and they can interact with me. I go with the PowerPoint and they ask questions. I give examples. They give their examples. I make comments about their examples. It's very interactive and practical. Um, and then during the classes or between the classes in the VIP group in Telegram, I exchange information. They send me some drafts of their career episodes. I give a little bit of a feedback. Unfortunately, I don't review because it takes a lot of time to review the career episodes. But I have a read and I provide some feedback. If the career episode is good or not, what's missing, what's not missing, etc., etc. But Catalina, I'm pretty sure that you are subscribed to my website, and I'll be, if I decide to launch a new group of classes, I will be sending an email to my subscribers. I will be putting in the Telegram group. I usually have like 7 days of registering. Unfortunately, it's just a short period of time, just 7 days to register. I now have 7 to 10 days. So if I'm talking about beginning of October, probably towards the end of this month, I may decide. I will probably decide by the end of this month if I'm going to have a new group or not. I usually have 1 week of workshop. I do a workshop with 4 videos. The 3 first videos are to explain the whole process of the CDR, to put together and everything. And then I have a live webinar as well, where I explain in detail how the step-by-step online course works. And then I open the registration. It keeps open for a week. And then the Saturday after that webinar, I start the classes. Um, and I've got already a couple of students of my first class that they already nearly finishing to write their career episodes. I had a quick look at their episodes and they looking really, really good, looking really, really solid. And that's a strategy that I use in my course to write a very solid career episode with a very, very solid summary statement. So a national assessor cannot say that you're not competent in that particular competency. And also it's very affordable. It costs a fraction of what a migration agent would charge you. If a migration agent charges you $4,000 or $5,000, yeah, you're paying probably a tenth of that. So yeah, I'm not doing that for the money. I'm doing, and I gotta charge something because I pay webinars, monthly subscriptions, and I pay a lot of subscriptions to have these videos and etc. So it's just to cover my costs pretty much. All right, guys. I would like to thank you very much for your attendance. And I hope that the information was useful. I see if I can do more of these free webinars, asking questions and answering those questions because it was hard for me more than 10 years ago. I didn't have anybody to help me, and I think that I can help you guys with questions. If you guys haven't accessed my YouTube channel, if you go to YouTube and just type in Gerson Ida, you will find my videos there. I've got probably more than 41 or 42 videos where I explain a lot about career episodes and summary statement and CPD and this and that, etc., etc., etc. You can have a look. There are copies of events that I attended as well. They're a bit long, 1 hour, 2 hours, but you know, if you want really to do something, it's not a waste. Instead of, you know, Instagram and Facebook and this and that, you can watch some videos that you actually can learn something. There's a lot of content, and I'm endeavoring to record more videos and publish those contents there. So yeah, I can somehow help you guys. All right. Thank you very much, guys. If you have any questions, send me an email or send me a message in Telegram, and I will get back to you. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you. Bye-bye.